Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Friday Ramblings. Let's ramble because it's Friday, and we got a doozy for you. Now, last month we discussed Marvel's original crossover event, the Contest of Champions. This occurred in 1982. This month we're going to discuss the second crossover event they did, occurring 2 years later, from May 1984 to April 1985. Yep, it was a lot bigger than 3 issues. In fact, it was 4 times bigger. That's right, we're talking about a big old Secret Wars, taking 12 issues. Look at this. This is my trade collection of the 12-issue Secret Wars series. Look at that thickness. Look at that story. That is a big, intense story. That is all the goodness. Fun times, fun times. So what is the Secret Wars and why did it come about? Well, basically, it was done as a tie-in to a new toy line debuting with Mattel. As Kenner had been licensing the DC heroes at the time, Mattel wanted their own line to help kind of counterpoint things. Ultimately, Mattel's input on what they needed for the series to be serve as a proper tie-in to what their toys were going to be based on market research of what kids wanted from toys in the mid-80s. Marvel kind of found themselves in a little bit of outside creative input situation. And the series was written by Jim Shooter, who was the editor-in-chief at the time. Due to the restrictions Mattel was putting on the series, he felt that he was the best person to write it. Not to mention the fact Jim Shooter himself was an incredible writer. The art was by Martin Zeck and our buddy Bob Layton. Originally, the series was announced as Cosmic Champions, giving it a nice tie-in to the previous series, Contest of Champions. However, only a month after that initial advertisement, the series was now referred to by its final title of Secret Wars. Now, while there were crossover issues involved in the main books that involved the heroes, the Secret Wars series can be read without that input. Most of the crossover issues basically involve the rest of the cast of that series dealing with the fallout of what was going on in Secret Wars. So, as I said, the trade I have is just the core Secret Wars miniseries, but you can get this lovely volume or the digital equivalent and feel like you're getting the entire story. Good times. Nice and easy to track down. So what is Secret Wars all about? Well, a cosmic entity, because of course cosmic entities are always causing big time trouble. Bad entities. Called the Beyonder, observes the mainstream Marvel universe. Now, he is titled the Beyonder because the only thing that he will reveal about himself is he is from beyond the Marvel universe that we know. Fascinated by the presence of superheroes on Earth and their raw potential, this entity chooses a group of both heroes and supervillains, teleporting characters against their will to a planet created by the Beyonder in a distant galaxy that he calls Battleworld. Now, what's interesting about this, and which becomes important to story points, is that Battleworld was not created whole cloth. He basically took small chunks of multiple planets and fit them together like a puzzle. This included parts of the planet Earth. On the hero side, we have Captain America, Captain Marvel 2, aka Monica Rambeau, Hawkeye, Iron Man, She-Hulk, Thor, Wasp, and Hulk. Human Torch, Mr. Fantastic, and the Thing from the Fantastic Four. Spider-Man and the second Spider-Woman, who at that time were solo heroes, as well as Colossus, Cyclops, Nightcrawler, Professor X, Rogue, Storm, Wolverine, and Lockheed the Dragon from the X-Men. Magneto is initially featured as a hero, but as this is early into his redemption, and most of the non-X-Men affiliated heroes did not believe his reform was legitimate, he ended up becoming more of a neutral party during the Secret Wars event. The villains set up against the heroes in this ultimate question of which is mightier, good or evil, features the Absorbing Man, Doctor Doom, Dr. Octopus, the Enchantress, Kang the Conqueror, Claw, the Lizard, the Molecule Man, Titania, Ultron, Volcana, and the Wrecking Crew. Titania and Volcana herself were correctly created during the course of the Secret Wars event. The cosmic entity Galactus also appears as a villain, although due to his own cosmic-powered might, he immediately places himself as another neutral party, basically observing the events more than getting directly involved. Over the course of the series, the heroes and villains would have multiple skirmishes, some the villains winning, some the heroes winning. The heroes mostly stymied by the fact that as this takes place in the mid-'80s, the X-Men were still a very secretive group that were considered basically outlaws and potentially not much better than villains by the Avenger-affiliated ones, and therefore the two teams did not work very well together. Along with the villains not being able to exploit that too quickly due to them occasionally clashing over leadership potential. As time goes on, we see various alliances change, characters deciding to, who had not previously had a lot of history each other, buddying up and potentially even going romantical. I won't tell you who though, you've got to read the story. Ooh-hoo-hoo. Secret secrets. I got a secret about Secret Wars. Not gonna tell you. And more importantly, as I said, the debut of a couple new characters, as well as something little more infamously iconic. What was originally thought to be a newly created costume based off crazy alien technology smart fabric in order to replace Spider-Man's tattered costume ended up being an alien symbiote who would return with Spider-Man after the Secret Wars event was over, would eventually be rejected by Spider-Man, and would bond with Eddie Brock to create the villain Venom. That's right, the infamous symbiote that has defined Spider-Man stories for decades began in the Secret Wars. The first time we saw Spider-Man in all black, a costume inspired by the presence of Spider-Woman 2, it was in Secret Wars. So right there we have super awesome historical significance to this. But the biggest plot twist in the series that I can reveal to you without getting too spoilerific is that Doctor Doom, being Doctor Doom and doing Doctor Doom things, refuses to be a pawn of the Beyonder and play his game, and schemes to steal the power of the Beyonder for himself and crown himself king of Battleworld, if not the universe, thus upsetting the balance of the game and putting everybody at risk, including potentially the Beyonder itself. What happens when it's all said and done? Well, you're going to have to read again to find out. Besides the various developments that we have mentioned, some of the others is the Thing deciding to stay behind on Battleworld when it's revealed that while on Battleworld, the Thing gains the ability to revert to his original human form, and asking She-Hulk to take his place in the Fantastic Four, leading to a period of time where we see a altered lineup to the Fantastic Four. Some shake-ups with the X-Men's personal relationships with each other, which I can't get into because I already told you. Secret, romantic drama. Woohoo. As well as the Hulk having one of the few rare ongoing injuries he would have after a spat with Ultron, leading to his ultimately iconic, but at that time having been repressed, Savage Hulk side re-emerging, culminating in his solo series with a absolutely mindless Hulk who went on a major rampage that had to be stopped. You'll have to read the solo Hulk books to see how that turned out. What happens when it's all said and done? That's going to be the next thing here. First up, Secret Wars was a bestseller when it was published in 1984, selling more copies than any other comic the previous 25 years. While it was not a financial success, while it was a financial success, it was not a critical success. Many critics considering the story to be a bit uninspired and juvenile, as it tended to focus a lot more on the fighting between good guys and bad guys, good guys and good guys, bad guys and bad guys, more than any sort of serious, in-depth, philosophical, and artistic merit character work. Take what you will. I enjoy the series. It's fun to read every so many years. And IGN itself in 2011 would list Secret Wars as one of the best comic book events. In retrospect, finding the high action and goofiness of the story to be enjoyable. Also giving it credit for the introduction of new villains and the symbiote to the Spider-Man mythos. Now, 1 year later, Secret Wars 2 event was published. Again, I may go into that in more detail later. We are going to acknowledge its existence here. The basics of it is that the Beyonder, feeling that there is still more he can learn from Earth heroes, visits Earth and causes various misadventures. In 2006, a 6-issue series entitled Beyond was published by Marvel, using a similar premise as a being who apparently seems to be the Beyonder transports a new group of heroes and villains to fight on a new version of Battleworld. And of course there is the 2015 comic book miniseries event thing, crossover thing, also called Secret Wars, that took, again, the basic premise of it, a mosaic world assembled with a mixture of heroes and villains. Although the Beyonder was not directly responsible this time, the lead up to the story and the explanation for why it happened did involve the Beyonder. We are definitely going to discuss that event, though. It is a huge event and will be a full-length video. But yes, it was in many ways a spiritual sequel to Secret Wars and did a lot to tie up the nature of the Beyonder alongside of various other stories that have been published after Secret Wars 2. I may have to do a video one day discussing the Beyonder in and of itself as a character, although it gets a little convoluted, so I'm going to have to do some big research on that one. Probably not going to be in the next month or two. This makes things a good time. Let's break down to the big finale, folks. Is Secret Wars worth reading? Yes. While again, it is not as deep story-wise as most more recent crossover events, doesn't get into character motivations, desires, philosophical perspectives. It is ultimately a salute to what has perpetuated the comic books industry throughout the decades. Big fights with over-the-top characters with crazy superpowers. Lots of colorful costumes. And most importantly, just enough story to justify it while being all ages and all comic familiarity friendly. You really don't have to know anything about what was going on with these ongoing books at the time to read Secret Wars and appreciate it. You could have never read a single comic book before, pick up Secret Wars and appreciate it. These are big positives. But more importantly, you should read it because it is Marvel. Ultimately, I mean, as I said, it has aspects of everything that defines Marvel Comics. Even decades later, the story continues to inspire and set a standard of, yeah, you can have action, but you also got to have a little romance. Yeah, you can have good guys make assumptions like, oh, we know Magneto's a bad guy. He shouldn't be in the hero camp. No, it's cool. He's reformed recently. He's rehabilitated. He's not villainous. Oh, no, we know better than you, even though you're the people that deal with Magneto 95% of the time. He's a villain. We don't trust him. You know, even the best intended heroes make rash judgments and assumptions sometimes. That's touched on in this book. So, there you go. Find your copy. Read it. Share it with your friends. Enjoy it. And then, when all that's said and done, you know what you're going to do? You're going to come back here. You're going to catch the next episode of the Friday Ramblings. You're going to subscribe to the channel. You're going to click that notification bell so you know every time a video drops, because this is it, folks. Ooh, we are right at the line. We are right here. Guess what happens in May? Guess what happens in May? You would know if you have a habit of checking the playlist for the Friday Ramblings and you notice the episode count, because this is episode 199. Ding. That means next Friday, the next episode of the Ramblings is the big 200 episode special edition. That's right, folks. We're going to do something a little different, a little spectacular, to celebrate the fact that I have rambled 200 times. 2-0. 0. That is big, folks. That is a huge episode count, and I'm going to go ahead and say right now, I'm sure I'm going to repeat it again at the 200 episode. Anybody who's ever watched an episode, even if you've only watched a single episode one time, thank you. Because the Friday Ramblings is fun for me to do, but it's also something I like to know people are enjoying as well. So, you're going to have to get involved if you want to know what we're going to do for 200. Watchy watch. Feel free to comment and speculate about what could be done for episode 200. Predictions, spoilers. You don't know unless you watch it. So join us for this anniversary event. In the meantime, and in between time, I hope you stay happy, I hope you stay healthy, and more importantly, I hope you stay entertained. Because Roulette Productions is your penultimate hub for all things entertainment. And as always, hey, we're going to need subjects for episodes 201 and beyond. Beyonder, get it, tee hee. So feel free to drop suggestions wherever you like. We got comments below the video. We got Twitter. We even got Facebook if you really want to hunt me down that way. Let me know what you like, what you want to see, and I may just be able to indulge you. But that's only if I see you next time. Bye-bye.